what's up, guys? Thank you so much for joining us today on Vicious Whispers with Mark Tullius. Today we have a special guest, Walter Salcido from Fighters Planet. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, this is kind of cool how this worked out. We didn't know each other until I showed up on your podcast, maybe a couple months ago?
Yeah, a few months ago, 3 months back.
And then, we just kind of connected on social media. And then I just had the idea of asking you if you had if you ever thought about writing. And I was kind of happy to see that you had an interest.
Yeah, it's it's really interesting from when we first met and why we had you on. You written the MMA book, and seeing the other genres that you were out really opened me up to some pretty creative stuff. So that kind of helped me in the decision of let's try this. Prior to this, I've never written a book. I've written for Fansided MMA, Sports Illustrated MMA.
Okay.
So I was a combat sports journalist for a few years, but never actually written a novel. Never actually. So this is the first. I've always had a curiosity about this. I always wanted to.
Yeah.
I had some stories. Even now, I still in the back of my mind, I have some stories that I would like to write out, but thanks to you, now the opportunities
that's cool.
It's here, and I want to take advantage.
Dude, that's awesome to jump on it. So many people would say, they'd have all the reasons why you shouldn't do it. You don't have extra time. You have a family,
Right.
And so it's definitely going to be something. It's going to be extra work, and a lot of people would have said no. A lot of people would say no because they don't know how to do it.
Right.
And that's how I was with Unlocking the Cage. I was like, I can't do this. I've never done an interview before. I don't know how to do one. I've never written nonfiction. So I had all these reasons not to do it. But especially if you even have stories in you. So those stories that you had looked at before, that you said you would like to write, have you had those for a long time? Did you ever like to write as a kid or anything, or even just make up stories or watch?
Yeah, as a kid, I always did as a kid. I actually used to write little comic book stories.
Okay.
So the creativity was there. I got more involved in sports. I kind of excelled a little bit in sports, so that took me away from any writing or artistic kind of work during my school years and high school years. Everything was basically sports, weight room to whether it was baseball, wrestling, or football.
Okay, you played everything.
Everything, all 4 years, and so after that, I just life hits you pretty hard after school and college, and never got back into it. The only writing that I did do is because I've been interested in mixed martial arts for about 25 years now, since the mid 90s. So having the opportunity to write for them, write a few stories, and a lot of recaps and things like that, only because I love the sport and I wanted to write about it anyway and talk about it. But because an opportunity like this, definitely I wanted to jump on board because I finally get to get it out.
That's
know
cool.
what I mean?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Now, when you thought about stories before, were they fiction, or was it something that you experienced? Was it going to be nonfiction? What are some of the things that you
fiction?
Yeah, that's cool.
A lot of it was fiction. Yeah.
Okay.
And it wasn't just in the beginning when I was 12, 13, it was superhero stuff.
Okay.
Nothing big. But early in high school when I was a sophomore it was my sophomore year. It was those stories were more of a drama,
Okay.
So it was more of a serious type of story. It was a fiction, but it was more of a realistic type of story. Just current events and kind of things, from a perspective of someone else's view.
Yeah.
My life growing up was pretty interesting. I grew up in Watts.
Okay.
In the beginning, so it was a community where it's 50% Black, 50% Latino, 100% gang infested.
Wow.
So and then the odd thing there was that. It wasn't really something writing and having that creative side, especially in the 80s, in the late 80s.
Right.
It really wasn't something they pushed anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a manly thing.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
Like, I don't want to be a nerd.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much how I thought about it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So how much violence did you see as a kid?
Quite a bit actually, man. Quite a bit, and you know the reason why, and the story. It's. I actually at one point wanted to write about my life. So the reason why we actually moved out of Watts, and what actually happened was, in the late '80s actually there were race riots.
Yeah.
You know, there were race riots, and it was Latinos versus blacks, and Latinos versus, blacks versus whites. There was just race riots everywhere, from the elementary schools
Mm.
to the junior high school to the high school. Everybody was fighting everybody,
Okay.
and my mom was sick of it, so me and my brother, she actually sent us to live with my uncle,
Oh wow.
and my uncle actually lived in Santa Ynez, California, where that's where Michael Jackson has his Neverland Ranch.
Okay.
So so out there, and we actually moved into. My uncle married obviously my aunt, who was a Shumash Indian, so we actually moved into the reservation.
Okay.
And a reservation, well, you go there now, there's a multi-million-dollar casino and things like that. But back then, man, it was a little different.
Yeah.
It was a little different, you know.
Wow.
It was more traditional when it came to a reservation. They had powwows, a lot of storytelling, campfire storytelling, and it was a culture shock. We went from this inner city, where you're fighting left and right, to our elementary school was from kindergarten to 8th grade, and they were 200 kids.
Wow. That's crazy. I know.
I was in a middle school that had about 2,000.
And how did they take you?
It was rough. It was
Yeah.
rough. Yeah, it was rough. It was rough.
Wow.
Only because everything is completely different. We went to, you go from country living like that, where your accent is not where it should be to certain
Right.
people, and so diversity is something that you start to learn pretty quickly, and especially, but the cool thing was that living in the reservation, the Shumash Indian Reservation, that was where my story, because from my story, where I'm trying to bring out is try not to die in the res. So I learned so much from the elders there and the stories that they would tell us, so there's a lot of a lot of wolves and a lot of eagles and a lot of coyotes, where they can transform you and things. So moving out there, and then obviously once high school, I just moved back down to LA, because when you're 17 and 18, country living is not that exciting. So then I came back down to LA, but yeah, everything out there was pretty interesting, man, especially in those years, your teen years.
Which part of that had a bigger influence on your life? Which one had a bigger impact, do you think?
The latter, yeah, definitely. The living in the reservation and going through that. There oftentimes you think the grass is greener on the other side, and that's not true.
Really?
You learn if the grass is green where you water it.
But even being in Watts with all the violence, it was still better to be there, you think?
In certain ways,
Okay.
and I tell you why. Right there you get to learn friendship, because right there, your friend is not the guy that chats with you and then goes over here. Your friend there is the guy that watches your back, that's not going to kick your ass.
Right.
So friendships are friendships there.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? You start to see things where oftentimes, everyone's low income family, so everyone's trying to get by. Older brothers. I was lucky enough to have an older brother that actually, kept us away from it.
Okay.
He helped us out by, and I thank him for a lot, because he actually helped us out by not getting involved in the gangs.
Okay.
He did a lot of it,
Yeah.
but to get us away from it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because he's like 5 years older than us. So when we were like 12, he was like already 17. So, but that was kind of you get to learn friendship really quickly. So these strong bonds that in other places it's more of a it was a little different.
Okay, and this is what I told my buddy Matt last night. I was like, hey, it's not just if you really enjoy this process,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it doesn't have to be just one book. Like I want to
Right.
do as many as I can in the series. So,
Yeah.
because I could, when you're talking about it, I was like, oh, that would be awesome to do a Try Not to Die in Watts.
Yeah.
And on the day that a race riot pops off, like there'd be
Mhm.
so many opportunities and you'd be able to show so much.
Right.
So I'd definitely be interested in that one too.
Yeah, because
Uh,
there's a lot of stories there, and,
Yeah.
and the crazy thing about Watts is that it was just so out in the open. I mean, you know, drug dealers shooting somebody in the broad daylight
Yeah.
was not something that it was out of the ordinary. You know.
Yeah. I think that'd be cool to show.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to revisit.
Mhm.
Okay, so before I forget,
Mhm.
so when did we first even talk about this? When did we start doing ideas? Like maybe 2 weeks ago or a week ago?
If that, yeah.
Okay.
Between a week and a week or two.
Okay. And when we first talked about it, did you have any idea what it would be? Like when I first suggested it, like when you started coming up with ideas, did this one seem like it was the best? Like,
You know, no. When we first talked, I thought it was different. I thought it was gonna be more like a Black Mirror. Have you seen Black Mirror on Netflix?
yeah.
That kind of you know twist kind of thing.
Okay.
But as I read, Try Not to Die was at Grandma's house. Is
Yeah.
it at Grandma's house.
At Grandma's house, yeah.
Sorry, I'm a little high myself. You know, I started noticing how the stories were able to change, how you had options, and with that theme, you know, there's so many different ways in this story because it does start in Watts and ends up in
Okay.
a reservation.
Okay.
The way there can be really, you know, really
Okay.
different. Yeah.
No, that sounds good. All right, so let's think about. So now is trying to think about what this story is. We'll see how much you know the character. We'll try to develop as much of this as possible, and with the understanding that all of this might fucking completely change.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. But this is where we can start. So this will help me. This will help me understand your story, and then we'll put it into this format. That seems to make sense. And but I just want to show people kind of how easy it could be.
Okay.
And maybe it's gonna be totally terrible, and you never know. But
No, I don't have this whole story either.
yeah, and I don't.
So-
And that's good, and I don't expect you to, and that's cool. I think
Okay.
and that's kind of what I want to show. Is like, but it's all there. Like we can make a cool
Right.
story together. We could figure it out.
Gotcha.
Last night, one of my buddies, this guy Matt Santos from Rhode Island, also a black belt, interviewed him for Unlocking the Cage. Competed against him. He kicked my ass in jiu-jitsu. But great guy. I talked to him about Try Not to Die maybe a year or so ago, and you know he thought about it, but then we just never talked about it. But he saw the post I made about you and another author joining the ranks.
Nice.
And then he wrote to me last night. He's like, "Hey, do you have chatting time about Trying to Die?" And then we
Okay.
had a call. I was like, "Dude, call me right now."
Yeah.
And we talked for maybe 30 minutes or an hour, but we completely developed his book. Like we
Nice.
know like where it starts and where it ends, and
Yeah.
like, and that's who, you know, we figured out like what kind of style of book he would like to write and what he wanted to do. So it was really me trying to figure all that out. Like, what does he want? Like I gotta try to just help you bring this story out. I want it to be your style, and just we'll figure that shit out. So that's what we're
Yeah.
gonna do right now.
Sounds
So,
good. Yeah.
So let's just play pretend.
Okay.
So usually I suggest, and so anything I'm suggesting, I'm not saying we have to do it this way.
Right.
There's some books that we might do that are going to take two different paths, like right at the start. Like if you do this, then you're going to go down that path where there's
Right.
all these different deaths. But if
Right.
you're really this kind of person, then you're going to go down that path. Like, so that's a possibility too. So I'm going to have different suggestions, but that doesn't mean we can't change shit up. Lots of times I'm thinking Try Not to Die was written, I think, over a couple different days. There was like the before the crash, and then after when they go to the grandparents, and then the next day. So it's fine to take place over several days. I generally now like the idea of trying to do it in 24 hours. It's like, so it's more intense.
Okay.
But the other reason I'm saying that too is if we do two different locations, it might be like the book might not be big enough for two locations to do justice to either one.
Right.
Like that's why I'm thinking,
Two
I
separate
don't know,
ones.
if you were to do a Try Not to Die in Watts, and it was just all it was that day, like the event and first thing in the morning when they were getting ready for school or whatever, and then they got to survive this day in Watts. And it could be part of it could just be a drug deal, or part of it could be,
if you want, only because an event like that happened.
Yeah.
I mean, that is actually a better one now that you're talking about it than the other one.
well, and that's what I was seeing.
Yeah.
Like that's what I was hearing.
Yeah.
But and why I said for sure it should be one of them, because that itself is a good story. Like that's cool and that'd be fun. Like I lived at the same time. I wasn't there. I lived in Rosemead. So, but I heard the news all the time, and we kind of knew like fuck, you don't go down there. And so
yeah.
so it's and I liked all the movies that show that. So I think that'd be cool, and it would be, dude, for you it'd be awesome, because you might think this shit didn't affect you because it was a long time ago and whatever, is just part of life. But no, if you see fucking violence, or you have a fear of violence, like that's shaping you somehow. So by going back and tapping into this and like being like, oh yeah, fuck, I was afraid and this is what it felt like. I think it'd be good. I think it's super, super therapeutic too.
So I coming back to in the story that I think we can come up with, this was all around the time of the Rodney King riots. Yeah. So if we don't want to single out Watts, because a lot of people don't know where Watts is probably, try not to die in a riot. Yeah. Because the race riot, the way it started, I mean, like I mentioned, it was a normal day. Yeah. And one fight started at the high school, and then next thing you know, it was the middle of the street, then the middle school, and then it was just crazy. It went from a normal day to what the fuck.
would you want to revisit that day, or would you want to do just a different unnamed event?
We
because it'd be cool either way, and it's there's definitely a benefit to doing it like the real one.
I think that because I had the experience, I think we can throw up a completely new day with added shit that would make it even better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that makes sense.
But if you like, I can tell you what the day was like. That way we can kind of get like a story of it.
Now, do you think so? If you had to pick right now, you're like, fuck, I could only work on one of these. I could only do one. Which one do I want to do? Which one sounds more exciting? Which one's more
we can definitely revisit that story that I have, and then kind of add things to it on the way. I think that would probably be the easiest, only because I can recall certain details that might kind of come out,
So the reservation one will be first, or this one will be first?
No, I think this one would be first.
Okay, the Watts one. Okay,
and the reason why is because awesome. You gave me so many different ideas. The reservation one, honestly, it's more of it's really fiction. Okay, it's really fiction.
But that's cool too. I mean, that definitely could be fun. Like, but that I think that will be its own book and its own feel. And
exactly.
Yeah.
But this one here, only because I have so many details.
Yeah. No, and that's man, that's scary. That's fucking especially from a kid's point of view. Yeah. All right, so that's what we're going with. All right. Now, who is the main character, and what's his family situation like? Like, where does he live? And
so
how old?
12 years old. No, well,
maybe
sorry,
a little older. Because maybe he's got to do something. I think I was just having this conversation. If we make it to where he is able to do shit like that, maybe he shouldn't be, like maybe driving a car or maybe having to use a gun or whatever. So we could have it to maybe 15, 16 if that fits in.
Yeah, so the only thing is that when I was reading the other story, it's very similar because it's siblings. It's two brothers. Okay. And so it'd be 15 and 17. Okay. Yeah, with the 15-year-old being the main character. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Do you have a name for him?
No name. Okay. We can.
Okay. Well, let's do it like this. All right. So when you're gonna write this, when we're writing this, dude, any note that I write down, I put I'm this character. So who am I? And then if I start thinking like that, it's like, okay, do I have a brother? Do I have a sister?
Yeah.
So let's even adopt. So I'm gonna just ask you, like, you're the main character.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're probably 15 years old.
Yeah, I'm the main character, 15 years old.
And you do have an older brother?
Yep.
Okay. Do you know his name?
We can, well, his real name, but we'll say, David.
David. All right. And dude, and like I said, these are placeholders right now, so it's just seeing what pops, what sounds good.
Right.
We'll change names and all that shit. And then, okay, but how do you feel about him? Like, what kind of brother is he?
So the older brother is the one that actually got all the attention.
Okay.
Because he was the firstborn.
Okay.
So there's a little, there's a little
jealousy
a little, yeah. And even though he's the youngest and he feels like he's the baby, the other guy actually gets more attention.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What does he get attention for? Is he
he
more
excels
of an
at
athlete?
Yeah, he excels at everything, and mainly because he was the firstborn.
Okay.
So he's named after his father.
Okay.
He's junior.
Hispanic family.
Yeah, Hispanic.
What are the mom and dad in the picture?
Dad is not, only mom.
All right. What happened to dad?
Dad died.
Only mom. Dad died of what?
It was a car accident.
No, it wasn't. No, I didn't.
Actually, you know what?
Maybe it wasn't. Yeah. Maybe he had a heart attack.
No, you know. Actually, he was a firefighter.
Maybe he was drunk. And I'm not talking about your real dad.
I know.
I'm saying this imaginary guy.
Yeah.
We got to give him a name.
Yeah.
What's
actually,
your name?
So the dad was a firefighter.
Okay.
And he passed away. Dad's name was Marcus.
All right.
Yeah, dad's a firefighter who passed away. And because he passed away, that's why they're living in Watts.
Would it be Marcus or Marcos?
Marcos.
Like it. No, I think that's awesome. Oh, they're living in Watts because they don't have
the money anymore because dad died.
Where do you think they were before that?
Before that, they were in Lincoln Heights.
Okay.
Or we can say Pasadena, the nice side of town.
I think that's where my mom was born. Lincoln Heights. Woohoo. Yeah, she was.
So he was a firefighter in Pasadena and then passed away, and
okay,
they just went downhill in there.
Is he? So what is this kid like? Is he pretty? Like, how long ago has his dad died? Has it been a while?
It's been about 3 years. Okay. So it's been a while where they're kind of already getting back to their own groove, but still fresh enough where they're not completely on their feet.
Okay. So how is this kid's life? Is he like? Does he get bullied at school? Is he in fear of? Yeah,
he has his close friends, but yeah, because he is not in gangs, so he does get bullied a little bit. The older brother, I guess, I guess we can say he's a gang.
You're good.
Yeah, and that's why he got all the respect, because he was a gang member.
But how would the mom feel about him if he was a gang member?
Yeah, it's still the same thing where, he's still junior, and he looks so much like his dad, and so the mom always loves him more.
Okay.
Even though he's a fuck up.
All right. That'd be hard. Can he count on his brother for anything?
If it came down to it, yes. Mm-hmm. But he usually kind of just, shushes them away most of the time.
Okay. Because one thing I do suggest is that there is a second person who we can kill. Okay. So we don't have to, like at Grandma's house, there's a sister. So if the sister dies, then that's pretty much the same as you dying. And it's one last time that we have to write about a different way that we can die. Mm-hmm. So we want the brother to be... Will the brother be with him this whole day? Is he going to try to get to his brother to help him?
Exactly.
Or is he more of...
So the older brother tries to get to the... Oh, and then the other person can actually be grandma lives in the house as well.
Okay. That's good to grandma. Nice grandma, mean grandma.
Mean grandma.
Use her shoe to spank you.
Chancla grandma. Yeah, that's sandal out.
Okay, I can see it. Yep. That's good, but Yeah, I've seen it. Okay. Does he love her though?
Yeah,
Is there,
yeah, it's
okay.
a grandma. Yeah.
Um, all right. So, how does this day start? So does it start with just like leaving the house
Yep,
that
regular
morning?
school day that morning.
Okay.
Alarm goes off.
Um, and so what this is what we'll do. We're not even gonna worry yet at all about death scenes.
Okay.
Like, cause there's gonna be death scenes. We'll be able to,
Yeah.
like, death could be anywhere. I just had this problem the other day. I was like, but we just changed something, and so now we got to figure out how he dies. Like,
Yeah.
man, he was looking at his phone. He got hit by a car. Like,
Yeah.
we could fucking figure something
Yeah.
out. So all the death scenes will come later. That's awesome. To always write them down whenever they come. Cool ideas, different ways to die. And like you were saying earlier, like it made you see like there were different options. So
Yeah.
maybe something you didn't even think of is actually the correct way to go, and that's going to help shape the story. So write them down. But
Okay.
let's think about this story is going from the start to the
Yeah.
end, and like, so
Okay.
what is this story? It's not going to be a very long story. We
Right.
only have it's like 20 chapters. This is only like half of a novel. So from point A to point C, or whatever we're going to call it. So it starts with him early in the morning.
Yeah. So early in the morning, it's actually science project day. So he has a
okay.
science project. So he has everything, getting ready to take the whole big old box full of the science project there.
Did he want his mom to help? Was she able to? Does she have to work a
Yeah.
lot?
So
Is she around?
Yeah, mom works. She leaves midday and then comes back like middle of the night. So mom's either asleep or gone.
Okay.
And grandma's the one that takes care of them.
Okay.
So mom's asleep. He has no help. He has a big box. He has to walk to the bus stop.
So that could
And actually, he walks to school.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
good. Now, on that trip, so, okay, well, let's hear about the other big events in the day. Because in my head, I'm like, okay, is school, is that walk to school the start, and, the start of the book, and then his day at school, the majority of it? Probably not. We want when does the riot pop off? Pretty early?
Pretty early, yeah. It's about it's probably 10 a.m. or so,
Okay.
because it's the brother that gets into a fight in the school that starts it.
That's awesome.
And then
Yeah,
because
that
they
adds
know
a lot.
Yeah, because they know who his little brother is.
Yeah,
They're coming to get him,
that's cool.
and he doesn't know. He's a nerd. So the little kid's more like a school nerd,
Okay.
and the older brother's the tougher.
Yeah, I like it. That's awesome. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so the real start of so Act 1 would probably be waking up until this riot pops off, and then surviving this riot is going to be majority of part 2. Okay, so that's awesome. All right, what else happens at school before that? What do you want to show at school? Like, does he probably doesn't make it to science class, right?
Right. Yeah. But little things like he has to cross the railroad tracks, where he always tries to dodge the stupid train. And that could be, does he do it? Does he not? The train's
Right.
coming. Does he get hit by the train? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of the things actually, because we used to talk about that, because when they first did the metro line going through Watts there, these stupid kids once a month they would try to cross it and boom, get hit.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
yeah.
Well, it's not awesome that
Right, no, but yeah, that actually hit, yeah,
to put
happened.
that in, and because dude, it's even that stuff, even this shit that even though you didn't see it, like, to know that, like,
Yeah.
and knowing that as kids, like, fuck, people are getting hit by trains here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because kids were getting hit there. They had to change the way the blockage things were.
Wow.
Before they used to do it where it was just the cars and the walkthrough was open, and because those kids were keep getting hit, they would close that down.
Wow.
And then down the street they put fences all along, and
That's crazy.
yeah.
I have a short story about people getting run over by trains.
Really?
And then coming back to life.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is awesome. All right, so anything else, like what would you want to show at school? So, so we probably have waking up and the walk to school, and then there's a death scene there, and then him getting to school, first period. Like anything interesting happen? Do we want to show it to show like just tension at school? Is he?
Well, that's one of the things that I wanted to ask. I mean, because the real situation was an actual race riot.
Yeah.
Do we really want to do? Let's bring it out.
Dude, I think it's, yeah, why not? Like, I think that is,
it's an actual event.
yeah, no, and that's being able to show that, like, what it was like to be in that, and to let this person experience it. Yeah, I think that's the way to do it.
All right. So,
unless there's a more interesting story for you,
because
about living there, but yeah, I think if we're showing the tension already up to this, like, there's all kinds of fucking racial tension this whole time. Maybe his brother's not as sensitive to it, or maybe his brother's even more so. If he's in a gang, then for sure he would be.
Yeah, well, that's what it was.
Okay.
It was the Hispanic gang against a black gang.
Oh, dude, yeah. So that's perfect. So that's an awesome story. So, yeah.
Because the other one was the Rodney King riots.
Okay.
Where there was looting, and the church's chicken across the street from our house got blown up.
Wow.
There's so many, but yeah, let's go. This one's good.
I think so. I think yeah. No, I think this works.
Okay.
So yeah, so this is all. So we'll definitely show what he's going through.
Right.
The tension, show racial tension, and then
so like perhaps walking to class, he got bumped by a kid.
Yeah.
That was a gang member, and he dropped his project.
Yeah.
And that he just picked it up and kind of kept walking or something, but that sort of tension.
No, I think it's awesome. No, okay, so that's perfect. All right, so now from the moment the riot goes off, like how long is this? What is in game? Getting home safely that night, like late at night, is there? Yeah, we can make this anything. It could turn into full blown, looting and rioting and everything.
Yeah. So the what actually ended up happening? Yeah. So when we got to school and there was a big old riot, my little brother was actually in a different school. It went to a point where it started with one fight in high school. Okay. And then it went on to the street. And then the high school started walking out. Kids just started walking out. Okay. And the junior high and the high school were blocks apart, So word got quick, kids were walking out. So all the kids in the middle school started coming out. And then, they were fighting in the street. Blacks against Mexicans, fighting in the street. Damn. And then the middle school kids, they're like, hey, they're fighting, and they started fighting in the school. It got to a point where it got to the elementary schools.
Wow.
Yeah, with parents trying to get their kids out and all that kind of sort of stuff. And to my little brother, a teacher held him down so another kid can hit him.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is the real story of the riots. Damn. And and then coming home, actually, we got a fight, stabbed in the leg.
Wow.
And I was fighting with a book, because that's all I had. And in that morning, actually. So I had these nice shoes on as well because, it was actually first day of school.
Okay.
But and maybe we can add this. But, yeah, so I go to have a drink of water in my new nice fresh shoes. And I get now, mind you, I'm in the 7th, 8th grade. Okay. A kid gets me from behind and chokes me out.
Wow.
Like just complete chokes me out. I'm flat out. And when I come to, my shoes are missing.
Wow.
That's how my day got started. Damn. So then I was barefooted, and then everyone starts fighting and I don't have shoes.
Wow.
So now kids are jumping the fence. Have you ever tried to jump over a chain link fence without shoes?
No.
Oh, dude, it's not cool. Wow. It's not cool. And yeah, dude, everyone's fighting everywhere, and we're next thing you know, we're just trying to get. I'm just trying to get to the other school to get my brother because I know they're fighting over there too, and
so a younger brother?
Yeah, my younger brother.
All right,
but that's actually not the story. I wanted to switch it up a little bit, but that's actually what the actual events that took place. Where I wanted to kind of change this around.
Okay, so but that's awesome. That's
crazy,
an awesome story.
Right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And of course, then
100%.
coming home, I got jumped, and that's
Okay.
where a kid stabbed me in the leg with this stupid little Swiss Army knife.
Wow.
You know, I mean, they're kids trying to be
Yeah.
gangsters. You know,
Yeah.
and but we made it home. I just got some stitches. It was nothing.
Did you carry a weapon at any time?
Well, after that, yeah.
Dude, I was always carrying a weapon.
Yeah.
So I wasn't experiencing that, but just that fear. Like I was always carrying some kind of weapon.
Yeah. After that, you start to carry out your own
Yeah.
knives and stuff. My at the time, I mean, there was guns everywhere.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I never went that way. I never got into the gangs. I never did any of that stuff.
So that's awesome. So, fuck, I forgot my question, but it's all right. it's all good.
Yeah.
So in this story, what do you want to change? Like who does he go after when this riot starts? Does he have to pull his brother out of there? Does he just split from his brother because he's like, what happens to this character? Like, and then who does he have a younger brother that he's trying to save, or a younger sister, or
no? So my thought was for the main character to actually get away as the riot's going, because remember the riot actually happened because the brother got in a fight.
So what happens with the brother?
Yeah. So after everyone splits up. So that's usually what happens. You get in a fight. You fight for like 45 seconds because security's coming, and then everyone just runs everywhere.
Did he run with his brother, or did he not?
No, they were in separate schools at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like the brother goes to the high school,
Okay.
So there are different parts of the school.
Oh, okay.
So there are different parts of the school, and then this on one side the brother gets in a fight, and as they're fighting and security shows up, everyone splits up.
Okay.
Now the other guys know, all right, we're gonna go over here as well. Yeah.
Okay. So
that's the only thing I didn't think about, because in my story, in the real story, there's two different schools.
Okay. Well, so dude, we make this work.
Okay.
So like we make it work for this story. Like this is a made up story. So we're still taking everything you felt and experienced and all that fear and everything else and putting into this. But we're gonna make it so it works as a story. So because we have to say, okay, for sure, if we want to show the brother getting in a fight and starting the whole thing, and like I think that's a big scene, and that'd be important to see and to watch, then that means our character has to be there to watch it.
Gotcha.
So, and but it works out for me, because if this guy, you already said earlier, he's 15, so that'd make him like a sophomore, and if his brother's a senior, and this is at recess, or this is wherever, like, because we can make it at any time, especially if it's just a made-up event, or just an interpretation of an event. So we have the freedom to do whatever the fuck we want, and it could be a sister, or it could be whatever, but I think it works with the brother. So I think he sees it happen. Is it at recess or whatever? Where does this take place?
Just in the morning.
Okay.
In the morning, and maybe when they he was there. He watched it. Brother had maybe after they got in the scuffle, the brother drops a gun or something, and the younger brother picks it up or whatever.
Okay, that's definitely a possibility. All right, that's awesome. So what would, in this story, what is this, how does he really feel about his brother? Does he even love his brother or like his brother?
No, he does. It's his older brother. I mean, he's jealous because he gets all the attention, but the older brother doesn't really do anything to him, anything bad or anything like that. He just jokes with him a bit.
Okay.
But, it's only that type of,
Does he try to watch out for him, like using the gang at all to watch out for his little brother?
I mean, he doesn't want his little brother involved. It's more of that sort of separation, because he keeps him away from that gang life. That's why there's really no real relationship between the two.
Okay.
Because, and it's not that he doesn't love his little brother. It's just that he doesn't want him to get involved in that type of life.
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes sense. That's good. Okay. So so all this is awesome. So how much? So he goes back to the classroom. He's got this gun. Yeah. He's pretty.
Or maybe he's walking back, and then because he knows he has a weapon on him, he has to decide, I guess, whether is he gonna go home and hide it, or is he just gonna go to class.
What did his brother tell him?
The brother told him to go to class.
Okay, would he listen to his brother?
Probably, he's so scared he probably would. Yeah.
Okay, so the wrong answer could be going home.
Yeah.
So 'cause I think we want to show him in his class, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
maybe because he knows going towards his class, he has to walk by security.
okay,
And he's afraid of that.
yeah, that's awesome. He could go a different way and die.
Yeah.
And it could just be simply falling asleep and banging his head.
Boom. You know,
Yeah.
the weapon goes off.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, has to pass security. Okay, so now, how far into the story do you think? Maybe, I don't know. Does his brother start coming, or do people looking for him right after class? Like, when does stuff start to escalate where people are looking for him? Does his brother try to get him or warn him?
Well, you know, one of the things that we didn't have back then that we can use now, I guess, you know, is a way to communicate. So maybe now they can text each other.
Well, okay, so
or leave it in that era.
Do you want to write that era or this era? And would there be much of a difference? Maybe there's not much of a difference. I was talking to my buddy Matt last night, and he was saying how, like, he was talking about the stuff that they used to do as kids and people in that area. I was like, you think that still happens? He's like, dude. He's like, yeah, those kids are still, you know, there's still that level of people that are doing those kinds of activities. You know, whether it's stealing cars or whatever it is, like that's still going on. I just don't think about it. I'm like, oh no, it's like people don't do that shit anymore.
Yeah, but you know, now I guess, you know, a riot can happen. There's still gangs and whatnot.
Yeah, I think it would be. I don't know. I'd like to go visit that era.
Yeah, me too.
I was like, that'd be good for me to even just tap into that. Like, oh yeah, I was afraid of shit happening. And
especially that era. You know, you're just, you know, listening to NWA when they're actually coming up.
Yeah.
So everyone wants to be a gangster in that era. Then that was the problem.
Yeah.
That was one of the main problems with Ice Cube and NWA and Ice-T and the gangster era coming. You know, just coming and breaking the door down. Everybody and their mom wanted to carry a gun. Everybody wanted to be a gangster. Everybody wanted to shoot somebody for no reason.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, that was part of the problem.
Yeah. Wow.
So you're right. Keeping it in that era might make it more of, you know.
Yeah, and if we enjoy it more, like, dude, that's what that's all that matters. Like, I'm not writing for the readers. Like, I'll never write something for the readers.
Gotcha.
Like, sorry, like, hopefully you guys will like what I write, but we have to enjoy what we're writing about.
Right.
So we realize, oh no, it'd be way better to write about that, or no, man, these guys should be fucking astronauts. Like, so whatever we decide would be the best story and most fun, like, that's what it should be, I think. Okay. So yeah, dude, this is it's writing itself,
right?
And at one point, I mean, maybe we even have the cops show up for something else unrelated earlier, or maybe they are looking for the gun, or maybe who knows? I don't know if cops would even fucking be in the picture at all, or school police or whatever.
Yeah, well, in that fight, remember, they break up because school police is coming.
Okay.
And maybe they did get a report of, hey, there was a gun, somebody has it.
Yeah.
Who has it?
Yeah.
Who has the gun? And now they're gonna put the school on lockdown, and they're gonna go class to class.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. No, that's perfect. Okay, so does he get through the day, or when does everyone start to split? When does shit go crazy?
So it goes crazy because, you know, the older brother and the dudes that are fighting, you know, they're ditching. They're not going to class.
Okay.
And once they split up from inside the school, they find themselves outside the school in the middle of the street. And that's where it now the older brother and his buddies, now it's not a 1-on-1 anymore. Now it's a, you know, 10 on 10.
Okay.
And it's a big thing in the middle of the street.
Did that happen after they were in school for a while, or did the brother after the fight just ditch school?
Yeah, it was like, you know, 20 minutes
He just
later,
gave him the gun and go. And he split.
Yeah, and he split.
Okay, so he's out of the school.
Yeah.
So when that happens,
or he's leaving to he leaves right away to you know, he calls his friends. He's trying to get all his gang buddies.
Now how can we see that? So does our guy see it at all? Does our character see it?
When he tells them, you know, take this and go to class. Pretend nothing happened.
Yeah.
You know?
And
then
then
he sees them get up and take off.
Okay. Because then we won't see the brother again until when? When does our character see his brother again? Or does he? Or does he? Because he won't be there to see this fight happen on the street.
Well,
So,
you can from the classroom window.
Oh, can you? Okay, that's awesome.
Mhm.
All right, I see it. Wow. Okay, I like it. Okay, that's perfect. That was my big question.
Mhm.
I was like, well, if he's not there, if he's in school, but
And then all the kids rush the windows because there's a giant fight out there.
yeah.
And then they start fighting inside, and now there's fights, and he has a gun in his bag.
Ooh, that's awesome. Okay, so now, what happens then? Does he get out of school without getting hurt? Is he, and for sure he gets choked out earlier in the day too. That's awesome.
Yeah. You got to add that in there, right?
yeah, dude, 100%.
Yep.
Yeah. Shoes taken. Damn, that's brutal.
Yeah.
How many people have you told that story? Is that something you like? Have you?
Nah, not many.
Yeah.
No.
I'm not surprised anymore. I've had so many people tell me shit that they've never even told their wives
Yeah.
and stuff. I was like, that's awesome. I was like,
Only
blackmail.
Yeah, right. Well, only because it's like it's hard to believe.
Right. Yeah. No, that's
You know what I
crazy.
mean? It's hard to believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, fucking Watts in the '80s was real.
Yeah.
The stories you heard are real, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? You know what I remember back then too. My older brother, who must have been 17 at the time, and he was involved with some shit, but the cops would just beat him up and throw him in the alley.
Wow.
And he'll come home bloody and like, dude, what happened? They jump you? Nah, fucking cops.
So
Yeah, but they wouldn't take him to jail because they knew he was a little 17-year-old punk. You know what I mean?
yeah. So that's awesome. So that's the kind of stuff we throw in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so much stuff is going to come to you too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, fighting inside, he escapes. What happens? Does he just run outside to get to his brother? Or is he worried about his brother? What do you think is happening? Like, what do you want to show?
Yeah.
Are they almost done with the school?
So yeah, I guess we can do it midday then.
Okay.
Or well.
It could be anything.
Yeah.
And so let's not even worry about when this other one was.
Mhm.
Like that way, let's just give ourselves permission to change it
Yeah,
any way
okay.
we want. So I mean, if you wanted it later in the
Yeah.
day or whatever you want, let's just do that.
Yeah. So I think like when the brother gives him the gun and says, just go,
Mhm.
he goes to class and he's sitting in class worried obviously because he has a gun in his bag.
Yeah.
And it's towards the end of that same class
Mm.
where he looks out and shit, they're fighting out there.
Okay.
You
That's
know?
awesome.
And then he's like, is that, he knew it was his brother because now it's the gangs. It's like a big deal now.
Yeah.
So once all the kids run to the window, then he's thinking, oh shit, I better get rid of this gun because there's a gun, So then he leaves class. He grabs his bag and leaves class. And when he opens his door, now everyone's fighting.
Do you want him to have a fight inside his classroom? Is there anyone from the other team, the other guys, the black guys that are in his
Right.
classroom
Yeah.
that would fight him right then, or then he has to decide whether to fight or to leave?
Yeah. When he saw the fight, when all the kids ran to the window, one kid could have cheered on,
Yeah.
and then like, hey, that's my fucking brother,
Yeah.
and smack, and then he has to fight there, and then he realizes he has the gun in his bag.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. So do all the kids leave class? What happens?
Yeah, then
everyone just runs.
Everyone runs.
Okay.
Because this has been going on, from before, and this was the tipping point.
Okay.
Now everyone's just fighting everybody.
Okay. Yeah, so that's all the shit that we have to really build up at the start. So we'll
Gotcha.
really, and it won't take that much. Dude, this is going to be awesome. Okay, so now they all go outside. What does he do? Does he try to find his brother? Is he even concerned with his brother? Or does he want to just get home?
I think now he just wants to get home so he can hide the gun or give it back to his brother.
Get home to hide guns.
And that's where he has to jump over the fence with no shoes. That's painful, dude.
That's perfect. Okay. All right, that's awesome.
So then as he's walking home, there's two guys behind him.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
And that's where he pulls out the gun.
Ooh.
So what does he do? He's the square. Remember, he's the college nerd. And he never wanted to be part of this life.
Yeah.
He thought it was horrible. He never wanted to be a gangster. He wanted to get the hell out. He just, he was into science.
Yeah.
And now.
But is he really afraid?
Yeah, he's really afraid. He's really afraid. And now these two big old dudes are coming after him.
Are they saying anything to him?
Yeah. Yeah, they're even they call him out by name.
Oh, okay.
And then he turns around, and that's how they know it actually is him. And as they're coming at him, with a pipe or something.
Yeah.
He's afraid for his life, and he pulls out the gun, shaking. And now it's like, does he pull the trigger or?
Okay, that's awesome. So does he? Because there could be another opportunity where he does, but then we have to realize.
Yeah.
So yeah, do we want him to have?
He pulls out the gun, and the dudes take off running.
Yeah. And that's probably he probably gives them a chance. Do you give them a chance, or do you pull the trigger? So after he gets past those guys, what's the next thing that happens on his way back home? Does he make it home?
If it depends. If we want to make it longer, we could throw something else in there, or he could just make it home and then.
What's some of the stuff that we want to see? Do we want how big do we want to make this day? Like, is there a race riot going on? Like, is it gonna be? Is he stuck? Is there a fire? Is there looting? Is there I don't know what. So whatever level we want to take it to,
right.
And then what is the end? Is the end him finally getting home and it's safe, or is the end him saving his brother and making it home? What is the end? What is a happy ending to this book?
So the happy ending would be
here's the end of it.
Yeah. So the end of it would be the brother having to kill. I guess the older brother is about to be murdered.
Okay.
And then the younger brother gets there in time, and shoots the guy in the back of the head.
Okay.
Before the guy executes his brother.
Okay. Does he get away with it? I mean, does he get home? Does he do you think that's the very last thing that happens is him shooting that guy, or does it end by them having to then escape and make it home? Or I mean,
so
what do you think?
Yeah, so I guess the end result, if we scratch that, I guess the end result is for both of them to make it home. Mom is not there, but grandma's there.
Okay.
And while they're in, the end result is while they're there, about to get to the doorsteps, the brother gets shot. And it's the grandma that actually
shoots him.
Shoots him, saves the day. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud right now. Because I don't want to, what I mean? It's kind of like, dude, I want a twist.
And it
oh shit, the grandma? I'm just kidding.
So, no. So, and dude, anything can change. But that's why it's good just to come up with
Coco starts blasting at the end.
I forgot about grandma.
All right.
But yeah, so is it, and we'll decide whether or not he kills anyone. Maybe, because then we have to think realistically. Okay, what has that done? And does he have to worry, or would he get away with the murder? And maybe the correct answer is that he has to shoot this guy to save his brother, but he knows he's probably going to go to prison or whatever. So and maybe he is caught. Maybe there's not a really happy ending.
Right.
I think we're going to do some books where there might not even be a way to survive.
Yeah,
so that's a possibility.
So it's either let his brother get killed, or him him forget about his dreams of school, and because he's the nerd. So it's either his brother's gonna survive, or he goes to prison forever.
Yeah, so I think that's a good choice, and maybe we'll throw another choice in there. But I think that's that's legitimate. Because if you shoot someone in the back of the head, there's a good chance you're gonna go to prison.
So so like you were mentioning, when he opens class, he looks outside the window, they're fighting. How big is this fight? I mean, it could be like 10 of his friends and 10 and 10, and then the school starts fighting. But when he walks out, you know, do you think he
I think we want exciting shit the whole time.
he what?
I think we want exciting shit like as much as possible. So like, yeah, something happens between him trying to get to the fight, and then something else happens at the fight, and something else like. So there doesn't have to be a lot.
Yeah, like he opens the door, and all of a sudden, you know, there's another dude.
Yeah.
And it's another fight. Or
dude, it could be. I mean, yeah, I think. I mean, it's. Yeah, I think there's enough there. I think that could be. I think that could be good.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's what we figure out. Is like, okay, how much do we need? Do they have to experience more shit out in the city, in the town? Like, because we have to think about the story right now. Like, that's a super solid start. Like up to the riot taking place, and then the middle of the story is going to be him, you know, out on the street, and then we have to figure out to where. Like, does it go to nighttime? You know, does it like what kind of
how long is this day?
How much of a time frame are we talking about? You know, so I don't know. Maybe he has to get his mom. Maybe he wants to try to save his mom, or she at work. You know,
or you know, he actually he goes home, but his brother he makes it home with a gun, but his brother never makes it.
That's good.
So now, no one can get a hold of his brother, and now he thinks, well, I have this gun, I can go look for him.
Okay.
And now he's back into the. He finally made it home safely, and now he realizes, oh shit, I gotta go back. And now, you know, it's no longer just a school thing. Now it's the gangs.
Yeah.
So now it's gangs. It's everybody. Now there's gunshots everywhere.
Okay, so that's good. So now his mission is to get his brother.
Yeah.
Okay.
So first mission was to get home, because the plan was for both of them to get home.
Yeah.
But once he's at home, yeah, his brother never makes it.
All right. That's awesome. Does he have anyone else that he brings into this at all, or is he going to be just by himself? Does he have any other friends, or probably not?
He does have his next door neighbor friend.
Would he go with him?
He would, yeah. That's actually like his buddy from school.
All right.
Another nerd.
What would his buddy say, like, if he knew he had a gun? Would he think it's kind of awesome but scary, or would his friend go with him if
he would go with him, but he would be too afraid to touch it?
Okay.
You know, it's kind of like, you know, he's too much of a nerd.
Okay. But yeah, so I think that'd be good. And we don't necessarily need that guy.
Okay.
But shit, like, why not write him down? Because maybe
Just
he will
case.
develop him into something, and I think it works.
But he got home, you know, midday from school.
Oh, okay, that's good.
You know, and now 3 hours went by. Grandma's asking about, you know, where's your brother? Where's your brother? I know, you know, this lady called me that her son got into a fight and there's riots everywhere. Where's your brother? And now Grandma's getting all worried.
Yeah.
And now Grandma's kind of like, you know, is he gonna get hurt? Is he this? So now he decides, you know, I got the gun. I better go look for him, because there is something bad. You know, I can do something with this gun. And then he takes off into the night and tries to find his brother.
That's cool.
And now there's a full-on riot. Now you hear gunshots out here, and, you know, there's like a helicopter going around, and you hear sirens, and you know, now those adventures start.
Now, so is that the last part of the book, you think? Him going out into that part of it? And, like, how much do you see happening between him going and finding his brother?
Probably, I don't know. I mean, probably, you know, there could be another scenario. And then in the beginning, remember, there's a scenario about the when he's walking to school.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so let's not forget about him getting hit by the train.
Yep. Yeah, we got that.
Yeah. But no, you know, I don't know. It maybe you know, he knows there's things going on, and maybe he's going to the well-known gang house to see if he's there.
Okay.
To check on him. And because there's always a gang house.
Yeah.
Always a gang house. That's real, too. There's always a gang house.
And does he have to go down, like, in a bad area to get there?
Exactly. He has to cross the train tracks again. He has to go through the alleys. You know, and then, you know, he can see somebody else. Because remember, it's not a turf thing. It's a race riot. So it's within the same turf.
Yeah.
You know, it's dudes across the street.
Okay, yeah.
You know, so it's everywhere. You know? And I guess once he gets to that known gang house, you know, there's only one dude there or something,
Okay.
and tells them, yeah, there's gonna be a big fight or a big war in this area,
Okay.
and basically tells them, look, if you go there, there's a real good chance you're not gonna come out, so don't even go there.
Where would that be? Would it be like at a park?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the park.
Just wrote that shit down ahead of you saying it.
Sorry, I know. Oh, you did? Look at you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's always, you gotta go to the park. Yeah. So, and even if that's too cliche, you think that's too cliche?
No, dude.
Okay,
I think
cool.
that's where you go.
Yeah,
that's
gotcha.
where one of my fights was supposed
Yeah,
to take place.
yeah.
We're supposed to meet at the park.
Yep.
Yeah.
So but so now it's that, look, I'm a nerd. He has that conversation with himself. I'm not about that life.
Right.
If I go there, I'm gonna have to be. So does he? And I guess that's when he gets there, they're probably they're about to kill his brother, and does he start shooting? Or does he get there and is overwhelmed by somebody else, and he doesn't even get to his brother, and he gets killed?
It's a possibility.
Yep.
Yeah, there's no happy ending.
I know.
Let's pretend for their sake that there's a happy ending.
He sees his brother. He sees the guy. He pulls out the gun. He tells the guy, "Stop, or I'll shoot." And when he's about to pull the trigger, somebody whacks him in the head with a bat, and it's over. And his brother gets killed. They're both dead.
Oh, yeah. Ta-da.
Ta-da.
Right? So I think we have the story.
Yeah.
We might work on the ending,
Yeah.
but we have the story.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to change or whatever else, but I think that's pretty cool to see. Like an hour ago, we didn't have a story,
Nothing,
right? You were thinking about being on the reservation.
Right.
So and this was just something interesting that you said about some shit that you've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And when you first brought it up, you didn't seem like it was that big of a deal or would have. I was like, how could this not have an impact on someone?
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be fun to dive into. I think it'd be good for you. I think it's going to make for a good book.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited.
And hopefully
about
it's a little different from the other stories. So
Yeah. Oh no, and that's what's cool. Everyone has their own story. Like the one I was developing with Matt. Like I would never write that story on my own because I've never been I never read espionage type stuff, or I never, I just don't have that mindset. So I wouldn't write that on my own. So it's cool to be able to pull the books out of people. Like, okay, this is how you see stuff. This is what you saw. This is your, and then I'll just help put it into format and kind of like, okay, what's the best way to tell this story? Like, it's a cool story. Let's figure out the best way to make it work. Not only just as a story, but then in this format. But from that story, dude, from this, there's so many parts where we can veer off and where it's an important decision, and sometimes it doesn't have to be an important decision. It could be like, man, he picked the wrong thing, and so he got hit by a car, or whatever it is.
Or it could always be like, when he pulls the gun out, because remember, they just gave him the gun, and he tries to pull the trigger. There's no bullets.
Oh, yeah.
There are no bullets. I don't know, man. It's just, you're right. It's a fun story. The cool thing about this, though, is that, at the beginning, I thought, oh, it has to be a horror story. It has to be, a typical, oh, I'm going to spook you or something where it takes you into that side. Yeah. But it's cool that it's completely, different scenarios. Like you mentioned, Iraq, and then this one here, so they're completely like normal situations that can actually happen.
Yeah, I like to just show, dude, all we have to do is, like, if we make this character believable, I don't know, that's all we got to do. And then anything could happen along. If the reader cares about the character, I think they're along for the ride. So, and I think we could do that. So, dude, today was awesome.
Cool.
We'll develop it more. We'll go back and forth. But, I mean, really, this
you
is
think
cool.
we got something?
Oh, yeah. 100%. And that's what, dude, maybe it's being cocky or whatever else. I was like, I know we could turn this into a good book.
Yeah.
Like, I don't doubt that. It's like, if we want to spend the time on it and develop it, because I could already see, like, that's an exciting book. That'd be fun to write. I could see that character and having that conflict and how I would feel about this and my brother. And, dude, there's so much shit to work out.
Hey, maybe, those classroom situations, one of the key things is that this dude is a, purple belt in jiu-jitsu, and all of a sudden he's breaking arms. And he's doing, you know what I mean? That's a cool thing, because now my wheels start spinning, you know what I mean? All sorts of different scenarios. That's kind of, it's really cool how this just kind of all came about.
So So, and like with that, okay, do we want him to be, would he be way more confident and then he just doesn't want to get into a fight, or
Oh, you're
or
right.
do we like it better where he has more fear because maybe he doesn't know if he can handle himself?
Yeah, I think that's
And
that's the best
I
scenario.
kind of
He's the
like
nerd.
that.
Yeah.
I think the
Yeah.
more flawed our character is, the more realistic he is.
Right.
So the more things that he's not confident about, I think the better.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so I think I'll type this up,
Cool.
and then send that to you, and then we'll just start developing it.
All right.
But honestly, like, dude, it could it'll take us however long, and that's what's cool. There's no pressure. I know shit might come up. I've got so many projects I'm working on too. Like I'm in and out on everyone's, but I know eventually, like, we'll get them done.
Yeah,
So,
and this is perfect timing, man, because like the next 2 to 3 weeks, I'm traveling a lot for work,
okay,
which is cool. But the only thing that sucks about travel is that as soon as you're done, you have nowhere to go to but your hotel room.
yeah, that's
so,
true.
Boom, I got a lot of time now.
Yeah, dude.
So it'll work out perfectly.
And that's what I used to love about any kind of vacation or trip. I'm like, I got free time to write. It's nice and quiet.
Yep.
Nothing else to do.
Exactly.
All right. No, awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming tonight.
Yeah,
and,
of course, man.
And
Anytime.
doing this and showing that, we could come up with a cool ass story.
Yeah.
And then for people to check out your podcast, it's Fighters Planet podcast.
Yep. Fighters Planet podcast. It's on Spotify mainly, or fightersplanet.com.
Okay. And you have a Twitter?
Yes, Salcido314 at Twitter. And I don't have an Instagram. That's one of the weird ones. I'm not an Instagram. I'm barely a social media guy. I don't even have a Facebook.
I fucking hate it, dude. I made a promise to myself like 2 months ago that I was gonna post every day.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
I know, like, I'm supposed to, like, for social media purposes. Like, I need to put my shit out there. I should be posting, especially on my author platform, dude. I don't, not at all. Fucking every once in a while I'll put something, but no consistency. I just hate it. And I gotta get over that.
And because Twitter's, I mean, to me, Twitter's fun because I throw out shit all the time. I used to do comedy, so making people laugh is just fucking awesome. So anytime you can riff on something, there's always interesting things on the internet. So
that's cool.
I think you kind of build a little gathering.
Yeah, that's cool. I could enjoy that. No.
But
awesome,
no, man, this was fun, dude. This was awesome. I really appreciate it, and thanks again, dude.
Cool. We will go out on a short story. I didn't pick one for tonight. God damn it! I was gonna see if I had anything that was similar to whatever you were gonna write. All right, here So we're picking something from Twisted Reunion.
Cool.
Let's just go with just because I like it. Let's go with Shades of Death.
Gotcha.
All right, so we'll go out on that. Narrated by T. Quillen. Shades of Death from Twisted Reunion. Thank you so much, Walter, for coming and having fun creating with me and knowing that we're going to have a fucking book come out. That's pretty awesome. So
that's awesome, yeah.
Could be within a year. Easy.
Can't wait.
All right, man. Thanks so much.
Awesome, brother. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Later.
Shades of Death. I wake, the concrete cold against my cheek. Everything's black. I can't see my hand even though my palm is touching the tip of my nose. I have no idea how I got here. I don't even know where here is. I'm indoors, that much I'm sure. I remember being at home, falling asleep on the couch. Somebody must have grabbed me. Maybe the feds. But I don't think so. This isn't a cell. I smell something cooking. Maybe chicken? Someone says something in Spanish. Julio must have found out I can't ever pay him back. Seems like my head would be sore from a knock on the head. Or I'd be groggy from being drugged, but I can think fine. I just can't see. I whisper, "Hello?" My voice bounces right back. There has to be a wall pretty close. I whisper again to the right and then straight up. Each time, the same echo. No wind, just my voice and the one in Spanish. It's a guy. He's laughing now. Or maybe he's screaming. And my eyes start to adjust. It's not completely dark. On the wall in front of me, there are the outlines of 2 large rectangles. It looks like someone carved through the wall with the thinnest laser, so just the hint of sunlight could tease me. I get to my knees. I'm not tied up. I stand and take a step to the left. The tiles cool against my fingers and a bit damp. I stick out my arm. I wave it back and forth as I inch towards the smaller rectangle. There's no sound other than my shuffling feet now. No laughter, no Spanish, just my hurried breath. I'm so close. I'm close enough to see the rectangle's a window with the drawn shade. The fabric's disgusting and sticky, and I imagine a web of a giant spider whose feet are silently scurrying across the ceiling. I know there aren't giant spiders that prey on people, but my mind prefers to think of 8-legged death than whatever is on the other side of the wall. As far as the explanation for how I got here, I'm guessing it's pretty bad. If it really is Julio, I'm fucked. I need to know where I am. So I tug and release the shade, and a bright fluorescent light from another room blinds me. I assumed I'd see a streetlight or some trees, somewhere to escape. It takes a moment for my eyes to adjust to the harsh light. The other room is larger. There's no furniture. There's just a naked Hispanic man cowering in the corner, his belly round and legs so spindly it looks like he might collapse. No sound carries through the window, so I can't hear his panicked yells as he waves his hand at the 2 snarling pit bulls in the corner of the room. The dogs bare their teeth, snap at the man. There's a speaker above them. The second I see it, the savage barking comes blaring into my ears. It's coming from behind me, another speaker in my room. I turn back to the window. The blue brindle drips bloody saliva onto the tiled floor next to a stringy piece of raw meat. The man moves in my direction, and I see where that morsel came from. He's missing a large chunk of his right thigh. The white bone glistens under a layer of shredded tendons and muscle. The man spots me. He's screaming in Spanish. The black pit leaps, clamps its jaws shut on the man's left hand. It tears through the index and middle fingers, gulps them down like a tasty treat. The man tries to run, pushes off with his injured leg, slips on the slick tiles, and hits the ground. The pit attacks, but the man kicks out with his good foot, nails the dog square on its nose. The other pit snaps at the man's mangled hand, but he draws it back just in time, punches the pit's massive head. Both dogs are stunned, and the man's back on his feet, hobbling toward me. He waves me away. His mouth's open, but I can no longer hear his screams. Someone's controlling the speakers. He's reaching to the left of the window, towards an outline of the larger rectangle. It has to be a door, but I don't feel a handle. Still, I brace myself against the rectangle. Sorry, but I can't let in the dogs. His contorted, sweating face is staring back at me. I can't look at him. On the back wall behind him are 2 windows, black shades drawn. In the middle of both there's a door with a shiny silver knob. I point to it, but he doesn't seem to comprehend. The dogs are back after him. The black pit flies through the air, turns its enormous head to the side, chomps down on the man's right hamstring. The other latches on his arm, thrashes back and forth. The man keeps his eyes on mine, his jaw set and his brow furrowed as he drags the dogs toward the glass. The black pit loses its grip, then charges and bites down on the man's Achilles, snapping it in half. Somehow the guy keeps coming, bent over like an old man dragging a ball and chain. A chunk of meat tears free from his leg and he stumbles forward. His forehead slams into the middle of the window. I feel the faint vibration, but I still can't hear anything. His tortured face slides down the glass, leaving a trail of sweat and blood. He disappears below the window. The door shakes. I move back, put everything I've got into blocking it. Feeling like a coward, I yank down the shade and throw myself back into darkness. I slide down the door and scream, "Stop shaking!" I've never been so scared. I tell myself the dogs aren't getting through that window. I tell myself the man's suffering is over. I wait for a minute. 2. I'm sitting on a damp spot. Is it sweat? Piss? I slide my finger along the floor. I can't see. It doesn't smell like urine. I fucking hate dogs. I got bit when I was 3, and I still remember it like it was yesterday. I can't stay in here and wait for whatever this asshole is planning. Am I next? This isn't Julio doing this. He's fucked up, but not like this. I've got to get out of here. Why didn't I think to look around this room while it was lit? I could have planned something. Instead, I'm sitting here like a scared kid without a nightlight, not about to open that shade above my head. I'm not daring those dogs to attack. I get up, drag my hand along the wall. I hope I'll find a knob, a button, something. Finally, I find another shade. I don't believe in God, but I'm praying as I yank on the shade. The room's identical to the dog room. It has the same 2 windows at the back, each with the same black shade drawn and the same shiny doorknob. But this time there's an athletic 20-something lying on his stomach in the right corner. He's naked besides a silver necklace, his face buried behind the crook of his muscular arm. There aren't any dogs. I knock on the glass, hoping the guy can help. He doesn't stir. I back up and throw my weight against it. He still doesn't move, so I do so again, and something pops in my shoulder as I bounce off the window. He twitches. Come on, you big fucker, get up. The man moves his arm, uncovers his face. The entire left side flush against the floor. He opens his eyes and stares at me. I wave him over. Come on! With the side of his face still against the floor, the guy places both palms on the ground and pushes. It looks like he's doing some kind of push-up where he keeps his head close to the ground. His neck strains, and the skin on his cheek pulls. Half an inch. The skin continues to stretch. He jerks his head, and the skin tears, a large patch stuck to the floor, the rest dangling from the side of his face. As he gets to his feet and staggers over, I see his entire body is blistered, rivers of sweat running between the bubbles. The crucifix hanging from its silver chain glows bright over the man's chest. A crazed, deranged look fills his wide eyes. 2 more lurching steps and he falls to a knee. Patches of skin are missing from his forearm and thighs. Steam rises from his head. He says something I can't hear. I point to the wall. Try the door. He shakes his head. The crucifix burns brighter. The steam rising off his head thickens. My room is still cold and damp. Even the glass is cool. He keeps coming for me, waving me away from the window. His feet leave patches of flesh with each step. I spin away. The light from the furnace room illuminates the walls. There's the shiny knob. I can't see the door, only the knob. I grab it and twist it, but it only spins in my hand. It's hard to see in the shadows, but I can't make out any cracks in the walls, no sign of a door. I turn as the light dims. The blistered man's steaming silhouette fills most of the window, blocking out the fluorescent lights. I feel like an ass, but I wave him away and turn my back on him. He stays there for another second and then falls to his knees. The light in his room flickers out. My heart's racing. What the fuck's happening? Someone turned off those lights. When would my light go on? What's going to happen when it does? Maybe I'm just here to watch, but I'm pretty certain that I'm not just a witness. I keep feeling the wall, but there's no other door. There has to be an entrance here. I got in here somehow. Was it through the one with the dogs? I reach the corner and suddenly hear water. I keep moving. My foot splashes. I keep moving. The water hits my ankles. I keep moving. I'm back at the first window when the water reaches my shins. I drop to my hands and knees and feel along the tile. There's a current. It's coming from close by. I find the grate where the water's coming from. It's being pumped up from below. I place my ass over it, but it's not enough, not even with my palms helping to block. The water's at my chest now. I have to cover the vent. I strip off my shirt and wad it up and place it over the grate, but I still feel the water pulsing through. My pants are off next, even though I'm sure they're useless. I'm naked, and I think of the men in the other rooms. Were they forced to strip themselves just like me? The water's rising fast. It's at my neck. I have a minute or two before the room will be flooded. I paddle with my arms, push the water out of my way. The fuck do you want? I keep asking that, but there's no answer. I'll give you anything. Whatever you think I've done, I'll make it up to you, I swear. The water touches my chin, but I continue moving. The bright outline of a rectangle blinks to life in the middle of the back wall. It's the lower third shimmering under the water. I start swimming. I'm a few yards from the wall when I surface and take a deep breath. The water doesn't seem to be rising, but there's a hissing sound, and the pungent smell of chlorine sweeps over me. I write it off as chemically treated water. Take one more breath. The metallic taste of pepper and pineapple stings the back of my throat. My scalp and face start to burn. I lower my head close to the water, shut my eyes. My face no longer burns, but the back of my neck does. I've seen enough of the History Channel to know what chlorine gas can do. My feet can't touch the floor any longer. I just float. The water's stopped at the top of what looks like another window. I plunge my hand to pull the shade, but there's nothing there, only slick, unbreakable glass. I surface to breathe, and everything burns. Plunging deeper, I feel relief. The shade shoots up the other side of the glass, and a woman, someone I've never seen, stares at me. She's still clothed. It's just starting for her. I scream for her to help, and I point to the glass, tell her to get something to break it, but she backs away. My ears are ringing. I try to float to the surface, but the water's at the ceiling. I keep my eyes locked on the woman's. She only takes another step back from the window, and I don't blame her. Maybe I'm her first window. Maybe she'll find a way out.